Okay, hello beautiful tarot, lovely people. How you all doing? My name's Louise, this is Silver Tree Tarot. This is a pick a card reading. Pick a card readings are very generalized, so you're going to have to take only what resonates with you, leave the rest behind. This one particularly is looking at whether the other person has moved on, have they moved on, and a bit of a retrospective, how do they view you now? So it's for people in separation, for people who haven't had those answers from significant others. There are 3 piles to choose from. You've got a beach pebble, a carving of a dog, and a feather. Meditate, pick your pile, and I'll put the timestamps for the links below. But yeah, take a moment, see which one you resonate with, which brings back memories, which one seems to connect with you, and I will see you at your pile. Hi beautiful pile 1 people, welcome to your pick a card reading, looking at people in separation. Has the other person moved on? How do they feel about you now? What's their retrospective on what's been going on? Is there going to be a reunion? That sort of thing. So, has your other moved on? Let's have a look. What's going on with them now? What's going on with the relationship? Have they moved on? What's going on with them as far as this relationship is concerned? Oh, okay. This is quite a strong yes, and I know a lot of you that are listening to this will be hoping for no, no, they'll miss me, no, they're hanging on for. But honestly, you've got too much of the they're stable and happy, and that the ending is quite a good thing. I think there's a little bit of a message going on here saying, and it's probably best for everyone, way too much happiness being shown. Justice card, it's like they were unfair to you in the first place. It's like there's an unfairness that's been done. There's a little bit of a suggestion here that you kind of need a bit of tough love, this whole they are happy, you've got to move on kind of feel going on. There's going to be thousands of people just switched off, hates going all over the place on this part. But it's a good thing that it is over. So, yeah, I mean, there's not, for some people they are happier alone. So this is, I'm not saying you are happier alone, I'm saying the other person is happier alone. This Nine of Cups has got a sort of singular smugness to it. It can be read as just self-sufficiently happy, but at the same time here it reads a bit like they weren't as deeply affected as you would have thought. I was expecting to see heartache and tears here. Quite a lot of selfishness, quite a lot of they've got what they wanted. New dawn, new day though. I mean, it's hard to see the Sun and the Ten of Pentacles sitting there without going, and this is good news for you. It's actually a really good thing. A real sense of, and you can do it, and find the justice and the fairness. And by that, I mean actually look at things and go, have they been fair to you? And if they haven't, get angry. You know, if they just disappeared, be angry that they were too chicken to actually tell you what was going on. If it's the opposite, and for some people here it possibly is, if you did something either subconsciously or even purposefully, you know, you've done something that broke things, then own that, accept it. I did that, it was wrong, I shouldn't have. And then you get to move on too. But yeah, in terms of have they moved on? Yeah, I'm afraid they have. How do they view you now? So that was the next question, isn't it? How do they look back on this and how do they view you? Okay. Let's have a look. So they had a fresh new start. They started something. Kind of like childlike innocence going on there as well. And if they are not childlike and they are not innocent, that means that they fool themselves really well. And they play. And nobody likes a player. Okay, so how do they view you, my pile ones? Well, they're still tempted by you. How do they view you? Okay, for some of you, this is going to be coming from a perspective of they are tricksters. They're never going to have told you the whole truth. Anyways, you're going to be left wondering what's going on. For those, they don't trust. It's like they don't trust you, they don't trust themselves, they know that there's always competition going on. And they see love as competition, you know. Temptation is still there. They remember you as being a good choice, a good option, enjoyable to be around. Queen of Cups, so emotional and caring and nurturing. And that you'll find the right person in time. So they do have, there is suggestions of respect for you. It's more that they don't actually trust or didn't actually trust the process of building a relationship. Maybe they've told you one too many lies and feel that they'd broken that trust enough for it to not work through anymore. The Lovers card weirdly would suggest that they only ever really saw it as a fling, that they weren't head fast, they weren't fully in there, they were tipping their toes in the water to see how it worked out, and they decided, they decided not. It's almost like they decided you deserve better here. But there is a real suggestion that you will do just fine. These three cards together would be screaming, she's going to be just fine, she can find her own. Or he will be just fine, he can find better, he can find someone to build a future with. So a little bit of maybe telling themselves that they're not ready for a relationship. But at which point, why are you dating? But yeah, they didn't trust themselves to be able to make it work long term with you. And they see you as somebody who wanted something more from a relationship, deserved something more, wanted longer term, wanted to build and invest on this future. Quite a lot of they didn't trust you to see that in them. So they were expecting you to end it anyways, and at which point they never fully committed into it. And again, the Lovers card tends to be about choice, tends to be about whether you're going to go with that quick temptation. And again, you were a temptation to them, but it's not that deep, heartfelt commitment. It tends to be lighter than that, in my readings anyways, particularly with the Magician here. This is that whole, these two together, it's the person that wants to make everything honeymoon period and wonderful and fantastic and see how things goes, but can't necessarily sustain that. The Lovers often, that's that burst of passion at the beginning, the honeymoon period, and when that's over, it's not so much, it's not so intense, it's not so exciting, it's not so invigorating, and they kind of get bored and amble off to the next romance, but no romance can sustain that honeymoon period forever. So I don't think they've done themselves any favors. And they still see you as loving, and they still see you as kind. But yeah, there is a mistrust that you would actually stay with them, or that they were capable of staying with you as well. This idea of mistrust and sport and competition and multiple partners, that sort of thing. It's entirely possible they know that they'd already broken it and walked away because they couldn't see a way to build a future with you knowing what you knew about them. So yeah, I'm really sorry, guys. Yeah. In some cases, you're going to be looking at this and going, I knew it anyways. This has done nothing more than confirm what I know. But I'm sorry. This would be the character that presents the world to you in a way that's not quite real. So presents themselves as much more special and much more meaningful and much more committed. And that can be so harmful, can't it? So yeah, I'm sorry. Hopefully you get some form of closure soon. And if not, if you're just looking in, just checking, well, there we go. Probably nothing that you didn't know already. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a like and a subscribe if you think it's helpful. And I will see you on another pick a card reading. Hi, beautiful. Try that again. Hi, beautiful pile two people. With our carved dog brooch. Yeah. So, you guys, we're asking, have they moved on? Your particular person, have they moved on? And how do they see you now? Okay. Have they moved on? How do they view you now? So I'm just shuffling the cards a little bit, getting them aligned, getting them in touch. There we go. So, have they moved on? Gosh, okay. Well, the last one was a big, strong yeah. Yes, they have moved on. This is a big, strong no, they haven't. Again, so Hanged Man is kind of telling in itself, isn't it? That idea of hanging around, waiting, gaining a new perspective. They thought it was a good thing that it was over. They thought it was the best thing to do. They thought it was what had to happen. But we get this idea of moving on and changes for the better happening, and now they're fantasizing. Now they're imagining how things could have been other. Can things be again? They're worried that you're seeing other people. There is a suggestion that they would like to put action into getting back in contact with you, but these are they're not determinedly so. Lover's card, they see you as a temptation. If they were to meet you, they would certainly be interested in rekindling things. And yeah, they spend time daydreaming and imagining what's going on with you. They don't know, so if they are stalking you somewhat on social media, this isn't them getting the full picture. They're fully aware they don't know what's going on. The Hangman itself gained a fresh perspective. Separation has made them think about things differently. They've missed you, you know. There is a suggestion of it not being their fault as well. So martyrdom, it just happened to them. They haven't created the scenario. Neither of you created the scenario. It was the best thing at the time. It was the only way you could do things at the time. The idea of circumstances changing might well be connected to this dreamscape idea as well. So they may be dreaming of things getting better, things changing, so that they can reconnect with you. It's the affection seems to be the stable thing. The positives seem to be the stable thing. And the idea of imagining and acting and wanting are the unstable, the odd numbers, the ones that want to move forwards, want to roll on. And you've got a complete balance and a complete stalemate here. So I can't really say they are going to contact you, although it's being shown as sort of a 50-50 possibility. In some cases they may well, in a lot of cases they're not going to. But they would like to. You are in their imaginings and in their thoughts, very much so. Very much so. And they may well come out of this cocoon and dive out of it. But that's in very few cases, I think. In very few cases, I think you will be hearing from them. Most of you, I think the stalemate hangs. I think they daydream about you. Sooner or later, you know they're going to meet someone else. This is how the world works. Sooner or later, you will meet somebody else and move on. But yes, this is a tale of unrequited love. This is a tale of something that it's almost like it happened to the pair of you. So you were pulled apart by changes in circumstances, changing in fate, or something that was unavoidable. There doesn't seem to be animosity or anger or pain or anything like that. It just seems to be a kind of acceptance and a yearning and a wish fulfillment. They would love to have their wish of seeing you again fulfilled. Oh, guys. Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to pull them in. I'm going to ask, okay, I'm going to ask how, sorry, that weird bit of editing was because the train went through. I live right next door, so I'm asking how they view you now. Oh. Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask how they view you now, how they remember you, how they feel about you with this time and this separation. Let's have a look. So, how do they view you? I see you as a victor, as a winner. Oh gosh, all over the place. They have very extremes going on here. People are very complex. They hold more than one idea at once. Definite idea of this. They would like contact. They would like to talk to you. They do see you as something that's no longer in their world. There's a worry here that they wouldn't be welcome back in. And there are suggestions of that, that idea that the separation would have been too harsh, and that that you're going to have moved on, you're not going to be interested in them, and you're not going to view them in a very positive light anymore. Feeling that you've let things disintegrate and let things fall apart, or that they let things disintegrate and let things fall apart. So in some cases, there is going to be a worry that you've fallen into bitterness and sort of let go of all the things that make you you. But the central idea of how they view you is beautiful, isn't it? They see you as an escape to another land. They see you as somebody who is otherworldly. They see you as somebody who has the world at their feet. And a victory card as well. So the idea of you win through. New dawns, new days. So I think sometimes they're going to be worried that you have crumbled and not coped with the world, and at other times they're going to be looking at you thinking she's way too intelligent. They are way too intelligent for that. They're going to have found their magic and found their inner peace and found their otherworldly new world, new beginnings. Okay, fabulous. I'm going to call that there, pile 3 people. And if you found it useful, please hit the red button, subscribe. And hopefully I shall see you on another card reading. But thank you so much for listening, and yeah, blessed be. Best of luck. Thank you. Okay, hi beautiful pile 3 people with your feather, magpie feather. Okay, let's have a look. So we are asking, have they moved on? How do they view you now? Have they moved on, and how do they view you? What do they think about you now? So, just shuffling the cards, get them to all aligned with you and with the moment and things like that. So, have they moved on? What's going on with your other person? Okay, they are very much determined too, would be my take from this. They're working on themselves. There's a lot of internal spiritual work going on, spiritual guidance going on here. They have learned that they need to deal with the past. There's a feeling of trappedness though. I think they may be in that same sort of stalemate as we can all find ourselves in, you know, not wanting to have some form of resolution and wanting to have some form of closure and not being able to be in contact with the person. I'm not saying that they are moping or unhappy, because you've got the sun over all of this. You've got happiness, you've got carrying on, enjoying the world, healing. It's quite a lot of healing and quite a lot of dealing with things. Very much. I think they found you very much a learning experience. I'm not sure whether that's good or bad, but they seem to have found you a healing experience, for better or for worse, or a learning experience. There's knowledge and gains that they've taken from the time with you. We have got suggestions of therapy going on here, obviously, but also that this idea of past lives going on here, this idea of some things being out of our control or within our subconscious due to what's happened within our past, and if you hold those faiths, then even in our past lives, that create actions. So there's a fear of recreating the same problems again with yourself or with someone else, and they're really trying to deal with that. There's faith in the darkness with the star, but the stars in this one tends to be about destiny, about fate, about... They are seeing in a very fatalistic way. They are seeing the relationship in terms of not wanting to create the same problems again, not wanting to do the same thing again, not wanting to, end up trapped in this loop of repeating problems. So have they moved on? They are moving on. They're trying to take the lessons from what's happened to them. They're trying to deal with their past. But I'm saying trying because this suggests, the Eight of Swords suggests quite a stuckness, quite a feeling of blocks. You know, it is the card of not being able to move for psychological reasons. You know, you actually can, really you can, but if you don't believe it and if you don't see it, then you are trapped by your own head. So they're trying is the answer, and it's an honest attempt to try. It really is some soul searching going on here with the High Priestess and the stars. New dawn, new day with the sun. They're working on themselves. But you are definitely part of that, and you are part of something that they're finding it very difficult to resolve, and is possibly something quite karmic for them, and quite possibly for you at that stage. They're working on it, the best I can give you with those. And they're working very hard and on a very deep spiritual level. So kudos for that, you know, the attempts to make themselves better. And hopefully they'll get out of their own head. This is a timeless reading, you know, whenever this comes to you, it's right. It's also a very general reading. For some people, this is all going to key into place totally. For others of you, just take the things that resonate, that make sense. If it doesn't make sense or makes you go, or you have to force it into the picture, ignore it. The message isn't for you. That's absolutely fine. This is a public platform, so a general reading. But yeah, I think they're trying to better themselves. I think there's a real sense that they are trying to make themselves better in order to be more healing and more happy and more blissful for other people. So there's a real acknowledgement here that they got something wrong, and it was almost subconscious, or it was subconscious, and they're trying to figure out why they would do that, why they would self-sabotage, why they would be damaging, and that they are genuinely trying to figure out a way out of that. They haven't managed it yet. Oh, card flip, interesting. The Chariot, they're moving on, they're working on it, but it's a force of effort. It is something that they are purposefully doing. Okay, all right, so the next bit, we were asking, how do they view you now? So it's, have they moved on? They're in the process of doing that. They're working on it. So they're very consciously trying not to repeat the cycles, not to return back to you, not to come back at least in the same state as they were in. They're working on moving on. How do they view you now? Okay, so how do they view you now? Let's have a look. So overall, with the Novice of Wands, to me that would suggest that they see your relationship in quite light terms. It was a short fling, something like that, or it was just a fling. So sorry if you were hoping for a real deep connection. Be aware that this is their views. So judging by the last one, there was something quite karmic going on, and if they're going, oh, it was just a fling, they're still not seeing things clearly. But they had that Eight of Swords. No, they're not seeing things clearly. Oh gosh, a temptation, the devil here, a temptation, and something that they were incapable of doing anything other than just sort of following that temptation. For some, there's going to be quite a suggestion of stalker kind of energy. I couldn't help how strongly I felt. I can't help how I acted towards her. You can always help how you act. And actually, you can normally help how you feel. It takes time and effort and will, but we can control our emotions. So yeah, there's the whole sort of idea of temptation, very sexual with the devil as ever. They saw you as incredibly emotional, strongly emotional. Got all the chalices. So there's a suggestion that they're aware that you were incredibly emotionally attached to them. With this on top, did they lead you on? Did they bring you into a place? So they love bombed you, made you really in love with them, where they were just sort of kind of going, no, I just want to fling. They see you as on a path as well. So we've got initiate through to novice, knight through to queen in other cards. So they see you as having grown while they were with them, and quite possibly outgrown them, got bored of them, dissatisfied with them. But with these three in a row, it does suggest that they kind of go, yeah, and they were completely right, I was wrong. Again, though, they're aware that they can't help it, couldn't have helped it, they couldn't have done things differently. Not in control of themselves. And I think that's their take on this. A dreamer, a romantic, somebody who's nourishing, somebody who's caring, somebody who's loving. Suggestions of easily bored with the Four of Chalice, or just dissatisfied with the love that was being provided. But with this, it's almost like they were on quite a physical, sexual level, and you're on a deeper emotional level. And yeah, of course you're not going to be satisfied by somebody who turns up for a booty call and then disappears, or is around when they can be bothered to be around and then disappears. There is a real strong suggestion that you provided a lot of support for them, but didn't necessarily get it back, which is a shame. But yeah, I mean, generally positive in terms of, they see you firstly in terms of your effect on them. I doubt that you would hear from this person again, because there's such a fear, such a fear that they won't be able to help themselves, getting embroiled again or getting involved again, falling in love again. Yeah, and they don't want to lose control of their emotions in that way. But again, there's a whole suggestion that they're working on things very deeply. For some people. Yeah. How do they view you? There's a youthfulness to this. Somebody who's going to grow up into, or mature into, or evolve into somebody who's incredibly caring and incredibly nourishing, and quite possibly the right sort of person. But there is a suggestion that neither of you were ready. It's not just looking and saying, well, she was a bit immature or he was a bit immature. It's kind of an acknowledgement that maybe both of you weren't in the right place, weren't quite ready. The heavy cards as well. I mean, you are getting an awful lot of major arcana in both the last reading and this reading. So while they are kind of going, it's just a fling. It's a fling that affected both of you very deeply and was very integral to your life paths. Especially with that last reading of can't move onwards. So I think there's a bit of internal dissonance going on with this person. They'll be telling themselves it was just a fling, whereas really it's not, and it has affected them quite deeply and quite emotionally. And they're going to be telling themselves that they couldn't help what they were doing. We all know that that's not true. We do have free will. You can control what's going on, especially temptations, you know. So I think there is a suggestion that they're working things through still, and that includes their view of you, because it goes from very, very dark to incredibly lovely. And that's just in terms of the colours of the cards. I'm not saying that you were a dark person. It's almost that they had to kick back against you and say, "Get thee back, Satan," or something. "Get thee gone." And now they can look and they can go, actually, she wasn't those things, or he wasn't these things. They weren't those things. They're lovely. I just didn't bring enough to the picnic, to the table, to create and nurture that love and build it into more. And there is a bit of I accidentally drained them. I didn't mean to bring them low. I didn't mean to make them push for more, or to sort of, yeah, play on their heartstrings for some of you. And this is all about I suppose everybody sees you through their own experience and through their own, but there is quite a selfish edge to this. You know, she provided for me and I couldn't help myself. So some of you would have had that selfish playboy figure as well, and I'm sorry. But yeah, there's a high regard here, you know, very much a high regard emotionally. And certainly that sexual attraction is being shown. For some of you, it's going to be that they could not have offered you enough. And that your belief that they could was somehow a little bit naive, a little bit daydreamy, sweet, immature. And that kind of makes me angry, because it's even if they've set themselves up by going, "Oh, I'm not really up for a long-term relationship. I just want to see how it goes. I just want some fun." See how it goes suggests that it can grow into more. Yeah. And yeah, I think if you're not prepared to be in a relationship, then you probably shouldn't be dating. But what do I know? So yeah, there's a disingenuousness, something like that. There's sort of a self-serving self-delusion that seems to be behind this person's view of you. Oh, they're lovely, but they were wonderful, but and not a lot of acknowledgement that they might have hurt you, while at the same time working on themselves to avoid hurting someone else. Shifty. It's shifting sands. It's maybe because there's lots of people watching. It may be because the person is shifty, and not purposefully so. You know, they're shifty with themselves. We all delude ourselves sometimes. Try not to do it too much. That way leads to a lot of problems. But yeah. Overall, they think that you are a loving, kind soul who probably deserved more than them. Okay. All right. Lovely. Thank you so much, my pal Phrase. If you found this helpful, if you found it resonated, please click the red subscribe button, and I will probably see you on another pick a card. But even if you found it awful, thank you so much for getting to the end. Thank you so much for listening, and take care of yourselves. Thank you. Blessed be.